Okay, let's get started, and hopefully the remainder of the people will show up momentarily. So we're doing a webinar today from Scylla and Southwest Automated Security. We're discussing the benefits of leveraging AI-based analytics for physical threat detection. Joining me will be Andrey Akopyan, VP of Products and Services at Scylla, Gary McConnell, Director of CCTV at Southwest Automated Security, or SAS, and myself, Raymond Shadman, Head of Global Channel Sales at Scylla. About Scylla, we are a real-time physical threat detection solution. We utilize AI and computer vision to detect objects, actions, and behavior anomalies. Scylla makes the camera surveillance environment real-time, proactive instead of reactive. Scylla software is more like Netflix rather than a simple DVD player. It comes not only with conventional functionality, but also connects with your video feed and runs smart AI video analytics that is always upgraded and enriched with new features. We augment your existing security infrastructure with next-gen AI solutions to minimize costs, avoid human factor errors, and provide new tools to boost security and operational effectiveness. Scylla has a number of cloud-based and on-premise threat detection modules. Starting at the top, object detection and tracking. The most common object that people want tracked is gun detection, and that should not be confused with gunshot detection. Actually, by the time a gun has been fired, it's often too late to take appropriate measures that can prevent tragedies. So Scylla detects guns and can differentiate between both handguns and rifles. The object tracking allows for the gun to be followed across multiple cameras. For thermal screening, it's a module that was more common in 2020 during the start of COVID. Scylla's thermal screening solution is among the most effective in the market. So we can accurately read skin temperatures from moving targets up to 30 feet away by just scanning the inner canthus between their eyes. We're currently doing this at the Oman airports in the Middle East. And to paint a picture, women are completely covered in cloth and they're wearing a mask. So the only thing you can see is their eyes, and it's highly accurate. We're probably weeks away from getting an FDA approval on that. So for intrusion detection and perimeter protection, what that does is you draw a perimeter or one or more intrusion zones on a camera. And for years, security camera software has had intrusion detection capability where you can define a specific perimeter or zone so that any movement within that area triggers an alert. But unfortunately, this often results in a lot of false alarms from leaves, small animals, insects, lights, shadows, bad weather, snow, rain, the list goes on and on. And as you can imagine, if your security system is giving you all these alerts on a regular basis, pretty soon you're going to start dismissing those alerts because you're not getting the right type of notifications. So with Scylla, with Scylla's intrusion detection system, we used next generation AI powered software that only triggers an alert when a person or vehicle enters the area, which thereby reduces false alarms by up to 99.95%. The AI software recognizes humans and or vehicles and sends notifications when relevant alarms are detected during a predefined schedule. We have the anomaly detection and behavior recognition, also known as fight detection. And this is useful for stadiums, schools, transportation hubs, retail and shopping malls. It should be mentioned that you don't necessarily need to throw a fist to have the AI recognize a potential fight. It sees behavior, like roughhousing, for example, and it will detect and alert that behavior as a potential fight scene. I recently saw a video of a couple guys breaking into a drive-up ATM with crowbars, and it detected their erratic behavior as a potential fight. We have environmental hazard detection that's useful for industrial and manufacturing sites, specifically smoke and fire detection. And we recently gained interest from PG&E, which is one of the larger electric companies in California, to help prevent the raging wildfires, as some of the ones have ravaged California over the past few years. It's been all over the news and the headlines. So hopefully we'll see less spread of wildfires in the future once this solution has been implemented for them. On the hysteria, this is an on-premise edge-based device that gets installed on a network and primarily handles false alarm filtering, IDS, which is intrusion detection, and perimeter protection. This will be the focus of our presentation after we cover some additional AI detection modules. Hysteria is ideal for all types of customer verticals, especially those lacking the proper AI to filter against false alarms. The person search uses a combination of facial recognition and clothing color to search for a missing person. It can be used for BOLO, which is be on the lookout, to detect a person of interest. It can also be used to detect a missing child, for example. And this is useful for stadiums, schools, transportation, hubs, retail and shopping malls, and various other verticals. Face recognition, it's various use cases, providing that the customer city is friendly to facial recognition. There have been several cities that have been banning facial recognition due to privacy issues. So facial recognition can be tied into access control systems so that when you look at the camera, it unlocks the door so that there's no more fumbling for keys. It can be used for person of interest detection as well. And then drone security is ideal for larger sites with or without remote areas where it would take more than a couple minutes to get security to the area of an incident. And because we work with moving backgrounds, the drone can literally be flying in the air, moving and identifying moving humans and vehicles. And lastly, the false alarm filtering. This is, again, the detection of humans or vehicles and the isolation of the objects that we want to detect, humans and vehicles, versus everything else. And the difference between false alarm filtering and intrusion detection and perimeter protection is generally with false alarm filtering, you're just eliminating the everything else, whereas with IDS and perimeter protection, you're drawing intrusion zones or an actual perimeter. And again, false alarms, you're filtering out things such as animals, insects, bad weather, rain, snow, wind, like moving tree branches when it's windy, or moving leaves on trees once it's windy, shadows caused by these moving objects, lighting changes, camera flaws, vehicle headlights, emergency vehicle lights. All of these can contribute to a video surveillance operator receiving numerous false alerts. So after seeing numerous false alerts, you have the video operator gets fatigued. There's they start dismissing alerts because they can't look at every single alert and identify when there's actually a critical event. It costs the organization money, and it's not conducive to having a proper security system that's notifying you when there's actually a critical alert. The human eye can only watch so many cameras across so many monitors, and unless the false alarms are filtered, there's just too many alerts in a given scene, especially outdoor scenes, to look for relevant events and critical alerts. And security guards are often tasked to assist visitors and delivery people so that they're not always looking at the camera. Oftentimes they're looking at their phones or they're watching TV, and that's when critical events get missed. By implementing Scylla, we eliminate over 99% of false alarms and focus on actual relevant events. This would be highly useful for security guards, monitoring centers, small to medium business owners, and even residential applications for notification of relevant events. Instead of a human watching dozens, hundreds, or thousands of cameras, the AI watches and can see more than what the human eye can detect. Here's a couple of screenshots that were posted recently, and you can get an idea of what the capability of the Scylla AI is. Over here, I mean, if it weren't for this red border box around the person, or perhaps the person standing in front of a white background vehicle, it's probably unlikely that you would see this person, at least not without watching the scene for several minutes. Over here, you know, I was not able to detect this person myself at all. I was shocked to see that this was a person, but you can really see the true power of not only filtering out the false alarms, but being notified when there's any potential movement by a person or a vehicle, even at really low pixel densities such as this. Here's a screenshot from one of our partners in Poland. We didn't ask them for this. They just brought this to our attention that the software is this effective. We have a person standing at 200 meters away. So it's snowing heavily. This camera is not zoomed in on that person. You can see that we're using a digital zoom so that we can show you that it's actually a person. But this is a camera that's covering a wide area of space. And for the purpose of intrusion detection, you can see that this person has walked inside this intrusion zone. This is a not so dramatic picture, but equally as effective. You have someone who is camouflaged practically against the background. And this is a residential application here in California. And you can see that even on smaller residential applications, the notification of humans and vehicles is quite important and effective. So one of the main benefits that Scylla offers is that you do not have to change your equipment. We're not trying to sell you cameras or anything else. We work with your existing infrastructure, and we are camera agnostic. So we can integrate directly to the camera using the RTSP stream or FTP or S7TP coming directly from the camera. Or if you have multiple cameras, for example, it would make it a lot easier to set up by doing a simple plugin with one of the more popular VMSs on the market. And you have Milestone, again, Exact Vision, Genetec, Ivasec, NX Witness is offered by Network Optics, and that's very similar to Digital Watchdog Spectrum and Hanwha Wave, Eagle Eye Networks, Intrepid Networks, and Mobotics. So just to be clear, we're trying to make your security system proactive instead of reactive. So we're adding intelligence so that instead of just reacting to incidents requiring you to play back history to find and confirm the perpetrator or the incident, and by then it's usually too late, we will in real time, for example, detect a slip and fall. And if someone falls, security can be notified immediately and can send help to the right area ASAP. Think of, for example, someone walking back to his or her room in a hotel. Either they've had too many drinks or they collapse, they suffer a heart attack or a stroke. It may not sound like much, but a few extra seconds to a couple extra minutes could mean the difference between life and death, literally. This is really helpful for larger venues, hotels, theme parks, airports, larger buildings, and it can literally mean the difference between life and death. From a lawsuit mitigation standpoint, people are staging slip and falls. They'll fabricate one, they'll get a video out of it, and they'll wait 6 months before they report it. They'll hope that the recording of the incident has been overwritten, and then they'll hit that organization with the mystery lawsuit. And the organization won't be able to defend themselves against the frivolous lawsuit. Whether it's real or not, the organization can create an incident report and save the proper footage in and around the incident. So now we're getting into our edge-based hysteria. So the Scylla hysteria is powerful but simple to use and perfectly suits you when you have a home or small business camera network. You want a cost-effective, easy-to-use solution that empowers you to run effective motion detection and false alarm filtering. You want to focus on actionable events that improve your security rather than being distracted by continual feeds. You want a small security edge device that fits on any shelf rather than the bulk and costs of extra hardware. You want to have situational awareness even when your network connectivity is intermittent. And the Scylla hysteria comes in 3 configurations, small, medium, and large, that support a different number of cameras. This enables our customers to choose the right Scylla hysteria to suit their needs and infrastructure. I find it most valuable to offer the Scylla to customers who already have equipment deployed, and it adds the human and vehicle detection to older camera systems that lack the AI. So there's 2 types of detection. One is 24/7 monitoring, and this is ideal for cameras or VMSs that don't have the capacity to enable motion detection. The small would support 2, the medium would support 4, and the large would support 8 cameras. And then there's event-based monitoring. So that supports a higher number of cameras, and just all you would need is motion detection enabled from the camera or the VMS. The small would detect 15 cameras, the medium would support 40 cameras, and the large 54 cameras, all at about 3,000 events per camera per day. The hysteria currently supports intrusion detection or perimeter protection to safeguard a site from human and or vehicle threats. The next supported modules that we anticipate are facial recognition and gun detection, and they can be added by adding additional hysteria boxes. We anticipate this to be available by the 2nd quarter. Scylla is constantly innovating and improving the hysteria so that it can benefit from functionality that's normally found only in enterprise solutions. And with that, I will transfer this to Gary over at Southwest Automated Security.
Well, thank you, Raymond. It's a pleasure to be here with you as well as our many viewers and listeners. I just want to give you kind of again an overview of what Southwest Automated Security is and what we offer. Better known really as SAS. Of course, we are when we say on this particular slide that you're looking at, a national non-installing wholesale security products distributor, it's to help our customers understand that their customers are safe with us, whether it be the fact that we do not go direct end user on any level, even tech support. We always like to run it through our customers to make sure that they are taken care of and that they're comfortable there. We are employee owned, and SAS prides itself on selling solutions, no matter the size or scope. And because we are employee owned, it's incumbent upon all of our employees to deliver the very best to our vendors and our customers. We were founded in '97. Our corporate office is based in Dallas, Texas. We are 100 plus employees and growing. And as you see with the next point, 19 branches. So what that gives you is a really coast to coast coverage. And we have representation in all of these markets and coast to coast with our outside sales representatives, whether it's in the surveillance side or whether it's in the gate operator side, which is kind of where SAS started all those years ago. We regularly attend the vendor expos as well as our local expos, things that we participate in on our level. The next of which actually is next week in Kansas City. We've opened a new branch there that we're really excited to show off. But yes, training events. I mean, our offices, whether it be in Dallas or Austin or here in Denver, we have training rooms that we welcome people in, whether it be our trusted partner, Scylla, which we're very excited about, to come in and have a group, have a chat, what have you. Now, to the national trade shows like ISC West, we will be there later in March, and Scylla will be prominently displayed in our booth. I encourage anyone who can to come by and talk with us about that. Again, back to the training rooms, the CEU classes that we can offer. This can be something that we'll make sure that you know about. Everyone's definitely welcome in any one of our branches at any time. You can go to the next slide. Our mission statement. This really just helps you understand that we will always be out in front. We want to make sure that we can anticipate the needs of our customers, and that really will help us provide that, like it says, that maximum value to our partners. Now, when it comes to our vision statement, this kind of commitment is we are always educating ourselves constantly. Everyone that works with SAS, we try to stay in front of what's happening in the industry, whether it be in access control or gate operators, or of course, here with surveillance. We want to be well informed, and we want to be that dependable, someone knowledged, understands, and can help you decide, help our customers decide what might be the best fit. Next slide. And I like this, why SAS? I mean, there's a ton of reasons. There could probably be 10 more slides, but among the widest industry product selection in leading technology, our inventory, and we have inventory in the 19 branches, but we also house a vast inventory in our corporate headquarters where what we call our admin stock. So if it's not there locally, we can get it to you relatively quickly. And of course, our hands-on displays in all of our branches. You're welcome to come in, and I'd encourage you, if there's a branch near you, get in there. You'll see our displays. You'll be able to do hands-on, kind of moving around the GUI. Like Raymond had mentioned before, with our ProVision ISR, you'll be able to see just how easy that is. And with its connection with Scylla, it's a fun little thing. I'd like for you to enjoy that. Of course, we are a leader in customer service, and that really goes to just our whole mission statement. The fact that we want you to know that we are there. It's, with our hands-on experience and our employee-owned operators, they're the ones who will be there they'll always be there. It's stuff that you just don't get in some big box store, since we do have those localized branches. We are definitely fast growing, and I think I've demonstrated that we are customer-centric. just in the last, I guess, 5 months, we've opened 4 new branches. And stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more to come. Next. This is our line card, and this is growing. I mean, hey, we just kind of picked a good group of companies that we deal with regularly. I would draw your attention to the lower right where you'll see Scylla. Again, we're just very excited about that relationship. And frankly, I'm sure like many of you, I'm excited to see Scylla in this, I guess, forerunner in AI do their demonstration. With that, I think I'll pass the baton back to you, Raymond. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. So before we go into Q&A at the very end, we're going to present a demo of the dashboard. And the dashboard is where you would see the events that are detected within the Scylla hysteria. And in addition to the dashboard, you would also see these events on the mobile apps, the iOS and Android mobile apps. So you receive the events in real time. They get their push alerts to your mobile device, and they're listed on the dashboard as well. So without further ado,
dashboard can basically bring together all available artificial intelligence modules offered by Scylla. So we're going to work our way back here at the top, and you'll see on the drop-down list we have, for the purpose of this demo, it's strictly intruder detection using our hysteria box, and it does have all the suspicious shopping behavior, smoke and fire, fight detection, everything we offer, gun detection and everything. So everything will populate on a single dashboard for ease of use. And from this dashboard, you'll be able to get all the statistics for the alarms that were populated in a preset amount of time that you choose. So right here, you'd be able to select like your gun detection, smoke and fire to filter the alarms and show what you want to see. For an example of that, on this site here under statistics, you will see a timeline of alarms that we've received within 8 cameras. So we have 153 alarms for just today. Now you would be able to select a timeline, for example, February 1st, all the way to the 23rd, and apply. And this will go and fetch your alarm statistics for that whole month. So we have 7,200 alarms that have been registered with the hysteria. And you can create a report based on this. So if I were to create a report, I can download in various different formats. For the purpose of this demonstration, we'll use a PDF. And you can include the rejected alarms. Rejected alarms are alarms that a security operator has rejected as being non-crucial or possibly a false positive. And that basically helps get the algorithm to understand the mistakes it's made and not make that mistake the next time. So the machine learning is a combination of ignored alarms that operators themselves will signify. So we're going to go ahead and include that as well. And we'll create this report. And it's going to work in the background and get this report going. It is the entire month, so it's going to take a couple of moments here to generate this report, and we'll come back to it. The best screen here that I love is the alarm management screen. The alarm management screen is where you're going to get your alerts. Now, you'll notice that a human being was detected there. The person, as that van backed up, it was immediately captured and registered here on the right-hand side. And you can see the person was boxed in, and the alert has been delivered to the dashboard. You also get a 2 to 3 second replay of the event taking place. This is useful for security operators to understand, where the threat came from, where it originated from, and he can go down the list of different alerts here and get snapshots as well as a 2 to 3 second video. Now, if this were a false positive or it's nothing of concern, this is where you hit ignore. You hit ignore and submit this ticket as an ignore ticket. This will go and populate on the report as an ignored alarm. So a security operated company can understand, the metrics behind what their security officers are doing. Are they acknowledging and ignoring alarms as they come to the dashboard? If nothing's done, the alert will stay open on the report. So out of 100 alerts in a day, for example, if 30 of them are left open, this means the security operator did not pay attention to these alerts and did not do anything about them. Now, if you were to acknowledge this, it will allow you to actually type a brief explanation as to what happened during this event. So an example of that would be send on premise, their business hours, approached individual, and asked to leave, for example. And he would be able to acknowledge that report and populate it in his list of alarms that he has dealt with. When we go back to here, the reports, we should have a report ready at this point, and there it is. So this report's done. You can download this. It'll download into the computer as a zip file. We'll wait for that to download in a minute. And we'll go back here and I'll show you sites. This is more of the integrator site, I like to call it. This is where you can populate all the various modules or boxes that are running. In this case, we have 4 hysterias for this particular site, each one running a different part of the building. And it's here that you would be able to go in there, name your box, set the address where the box is located if you'd like. This also lets you know the local IP on the network. And if you go to manage devices, under your default site here, you're going to be able to see the driveway 1 and 2 as this, the box here, and the cameras that are connected to it. So if I were to click on the camera driveway 2, you can draw your zones here, your mask zones. Anything in the green is the area of interest. So we draw zones like this. You can draw up to 5 zones on the masks. So you can draw a second zone here. This was needed. You can draw a third zone there. And all of these zones, if you hit save, will now begin to detect in these areas of interest. And the objects of interest, Hysteria can detect humans, Hysteria can detect vehicles. You can select both. And here, if you put 24/7 tracking, this is going to work around the clock. However, you can also set time zones. So in this case, we're going to go from midnight to 4 a.m. And if we want a brief pause between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., we would start it here at 8 a.m. and all the way to midnight. And this will be the new schedule. In this case, we're going to leave it at 24/7, and we're going to leave it on person. This site does not require vehicle detection. Moving on, we're going to go and look at our report here that's been downloaded. And so it gives you raw data here of every instance. You scroll all the way down, we have our report. And this report will tell you what location, site it was, the alarm was populated, the location of the camera, what type of detection, in this case, it's all human beings, probabilities, and the date and time stamp. So you can use this report to understand flow, types of threats, the occurrences, the timelines of these occurrences and such. So that's what a typical report looks like. Going back under alarm management here, we can go and select a different site. We apply the filters, so now we're going to see only the alarms generated from the parking lot. We can go to the front of the building here, apply that filter. So if you notice your status is open. So in this case, we just got a brand new alert. It shows up in red. So the operator understands that if he were to take a break and come back, he's got some alerts that need to be looked into here. Okay. So if we were to acknowledge this, or parentheses a little bit. Let's acknowledge. And now that has gone off the list, and that is an acknowledged alarm. Acknowledged by this, in this case, it would be the name of the security operator and his notes.
So Richard Bull says, I think it's long past time we distinguish between face recognition, finding, and identification. The public needs to be educated. Their concerns about privacy are really about identification by name, and reality is that most systems do that. So yeah, I mean, I personally agree with you, Richard. I think that the benefits of facial recognition outweigh the cons. From a privacy standpoint, you have, people who don't want eyes on them when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. So that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. But there are privacy issues, and we have to be sensitive to those concerns in various cities. It looks like there were also some questions that have been answered in the chat. Does anybody else have any questions? Andre or Gary, do you have anything that you want to add?
There was a question that was in the chat that I don't think we addressed. Maybe we did. I think it would be more for Andre. Does Scylla work as a VMS as well?
I did not see that in the chat, but Scylla does not record or store anything. It is a live alert. It's to the customer's discretion whether or not they want to retain that data at the moment.
Okay. Also, since we have a little bit of extra time, I would like to mention a couple other points here. Fall detection is something that we are doing at USC Verdugo Hills Hospital. Not to be confused with slip and fall detection, but it's actually, this resonates with me personally. My father actually, he's elderly, he's in his 80s, and he has a high risk of falling. He's actually fallen a couple times already and has broken a rib and so on and so forth. So this is really interesting to me because the AI software actually analyzes the behavior of people who are in hospital beds and they're trying to get out of bed without assistance. And the Scylla AI will send an alert to the nurse department to notify to assist. And again, I mean, it could be an extra few seconds, it could be an extra minute, whatever time we can get out of it is literally the difference between an accident or a fall that can put someone in a wheelchair for or a hospital bed for months on end. Other use cases, we have casinos using our AI to count how many people are on the casino floor. We're doing occupancy counts for safety and security. So for example, if there's a fire, they'll know how many people that need to be evacuated. We're doing heat maps for traffic flow analysis for retail. We're using the heat maps for COVID cleanup crews to follow areas that have more movement, more people, so that they can focus their cleaning on areas where there's a higher risk for spreading COVID. And one thing I neglected to mention here on the notifications, unlike a lot of different, generic AI notifications that are bundled with camera hardware, for example, you can actually assign different notifications to different people, different departments. So for example, if a gun is detected, that will notify the security department. if a slip and fall is detected, that would notify the medical department, and so on and so forth. Also, another thing that should be mentioned here, something that actually differentiates Scylla between these hardware companies that bundle their AI, their human detection. We can recognize. It doesn't have to be like an entire person. It can be somebody's hand or somebody's foot. As soon as a body part enters an intrusion zone, that will send off a notification. It's a true server-based AI. It's not using like pixel-based detection as some of these other technologies are. It will recognize, doesn't have to be the whole person. It can just be any body part. And I thought that was very interesting. We're using that at Chicago Cubs, Wrigley Field. There we have people who apparently have been trying to pass certain things underneath the security gates. So as soon as that hand is detected under the gate, that will send a notification. Also, for the talking about Wrigley Field, we have them using the fight detection. So it's important that these larger arenas are keeping their attendees safe. So if there's any kind of erratic behavior going on, if there's anything that potentially looks like it could turn into a fight scene, they can send security to that area and quickly dissolve that incident before innocent bystanders get involved. I mean, if there's any kind of fight and someone who's not involved in the fight gets hit, for example, it can potentially be a lawsuit to that organization for not maintaining proper security. So, Andrey, do you want to add anything else before we end the webinar?
Well, I can leave you with this. I get asked this question a lot. AI has a tendency to make people think that machines will be taking over jobs. And the way I always answer that is AI is designed to free up space for human beings to solve bigger problems. All the mundane tasks that we're helping take over with the use of AI and machine learning are things that security operators and security personnel, private security industry shouldn't have to deal with. You put less eyes on the screen and more eyes in the field. A security person is more useful walking the grounds and doing his rounds and having Scylla do the rest. So sitting there staring at a screen is honestly a waste of time, and it does get very tiring for the individual. And like Ray, you mentioned in the beginning, at some point, they get used to the environment they're in and they start taking things less seriously. And this is where the use of AI is going to improve the efficiency of security operators and security personnel to do their job and keep general population safe.
Okay. Do we have any other questions here? Christian asks, is there a way to test Scylla analytics against previous recordings, video clips? Yes, absolutely. When we have, if you, for example, have a video clip and you want to compare that to see what Scylla can detect versus, let's say, another provider, then we would take your video clip and run it through our analytics and send you the result. So that would be a really good way to run that test. Another test we can offer is proof of concept. So for a couple of weeks, we can connect to one or more of your cameras and show you the types of results that the Scylla AI will find in your specific environment.
And to add to that, Christian, we do have the forensics capability. So yes, you can definitely use Scylla to forensically analyze existing video, put it to the test. but that is going to be a feature on the dashboard as well, where you can utilize, Scylla is going to give you real-time alerts, but if you were to go back to their retention and try to analyze and differentiate between certain events, you will have those forensics tools available to you as well very soon in the dashboard.
All right, looks like we have another question regarding how much long distance it can cover by one camera. So it's not necessarily the distance, because you have cameras with different resolutions and different horizontal and vertical fields of view. So it's actually based on pixel density. So the screenshot that I showed earlier showing the person 200 meters away, it generally, looking at the pixel densities, we're looking at about 30 pixels per foot for gun detection, 20 pixels per foot for rifle detection, and 10 pixels per foot for human detection. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to get in touch with us and we can look at your specific application, your specific camera, and give you an idea of what kind of distance it can cover specifically for the analytic that you're looking for. Do we have any other questions? All right, I think that will be the end of our time here. So Gary and Andre, thank you for your time. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.
And we will have a recording of this webinar for anyone who missed it or wasn't able to stay for the full duration. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Fantastic. Take care.